I'm hearing, thank God you don't look like what you've been through. Thank God you don't look like what you've been through. It's currently 6:08 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, August 22nd, 2025. And we're back at it with another general timeless intuitive reading for my soul tribe, divine divinity, and whoever else resonates with any of these messages at any time that you come across them. Anything that you resonate with, you want to be sure that you're taking it, going it within into the Holy Spirit for confirmation as to how the messages, energies, vibrations, frequencies pertain to and correlate with you and your personal situation in an effort to create and foster an intimate one-on-one relationship with the Most High, as well as exercise your spiritual intuition. Okay. Red and yellow flowers are significant. I'm looking at these flowers outside my window. I'm not sure what type of flowers they are. They're very small right now. But they're red and yellow. Or like a deep maroon and yellow, possibly. Cerulean. That color could be significant. I was just watching The Devil Wears Prada. Okay, so that just popped in my head. Okay, so for years I've been channeling the year 1999. It's been significant. It shows up in synchronicities, not only in my intuitive messages, but fellow resonating intuitive readers of the YouTube that I come across. Okay, 2:32 on the clock timer. 2:32 could be significant. Okay. And so let me just go ahead and pull up 2:32. While I'm pulling up 2:32, though, the significance of 1999, okay, was the year of my graduating class of high school. Okay, now, just to give some backstory, I started to come into my popularity in high school and elementary school, K through 8. Okay, I was the awkward one. I was the faggot, the sweet boy. Somewhat kind of a nerd. I was intelligent, but I wasn't book smart, you know what I'm saying? I didn't go for a lot of the curriculum that they taught in elementary school. You know, I was more fascinated by things of art, you know, music, things like that. I've always been like that, but I've also always been intelligent, like naturally intelligent. Some would say clairsentient or clear knowing, not knowing how you know something, but you just know it. It's a clear sense. It's a part of our intuition. But I've always had leadership energy. Okay, even in elementary school, you know, 4:08 on the clock time, there's something about Santa Clara. And I'm going somewhere with this story, with, you know, this message. So, even in elementary school, you know, I was always somewhat kind of introverted, yet extroverted. But introverted to my core. In group situations, extroverted situations, I naturally, I don't want to say dominated, but I had this leadership quality, even though I was timid, you know, and just introverted. I had this leadership quality about me. I've told this story a couple of times. I remember the first thing that I wanted to try out for in elementary school. We'll get back to 99. I wanted to go for the crossing guard, you know, color guards, in other words. I wanted to be a crossing guard, but I think at the same time they was holding auditions for it, they needed a captain. And I couldn't have been nothing more than like, I don't know, I think I was like 3rd, 4th grade, maybe, possibly. I don't think anything higher than 5th grade. Possibly, maybe 5th grade, so somewhere up in between there. I can't recall the ages, but I remember being very young. And I remember at the time the principal was Mr. Wesson. As then soon after that, it became Dr. Talkwish. Okay, but Mr. Wesson was the principal at the time, and then when Dr. Talkwish came in, Mr. Wesson became the assistant principal, and Dr. Talkwish took over. Now, when Dr. Talkwish took over, I, won a couple of, principal breakfasts with Dr. Talkwish. We went to the Purple Steer, which was a neighborhood restaurant. You know what I'm saying? And, with other students, it wasn't just me. But anyway, the first thing that I went for was color guard captain of the color guard. And, I was known for being like this introverted, kind of timid young boy or whatever. By the way, this is dead smack in the projects of Chicago, okay? 80s, 90s, okay? The thing that we had to be tested on was our power, our prowess, our ability to command the attention of a crowd. And we were supposed to call the color guard to attention. And I remember this thoroughly. I said, "Color guard, attention!" And baby, when I tell you that auditorium snapped, with whoever was in there, it wasn't like an auditorium full of people, but there were enough people that were auditioning and judges and, faculty members of the school. And I did, "Color guard, attention!" 7:07 on a clock timer. So, yeah, something about 7:07, 77, 777, 177, 717, variations of 77. Okay. So I did that, and everybody snapped to attention, as if they were on the color guard. And right then and there, they was like, "You got it, it's you." They didn't see anybody else. I was like, I believe I was the first one, and that was it. It was like, you got it, and they all was looking at me like, who knew that you had that voice? So I had those polarities, those dynamics. I was ostracized, but yeah, I was still like a natural born leader. And so throughout, elementary school, I maintained captain of the color guard. We had posts, and I did all of that. I had my little poncho and my little neon orange belt, and I had my captain badge, and I felt like I was the shit. I really did, because I had that position of power, which I'll go into that later, because that did kind of get to my head a little bit. By the time I reached high school, I was still like the neighborhood faggot. I walked with a twist. I grew up in a household full of women. I was the only boy. My grandfather was in and out because he was the head of the CHA, the Chicago Housing Authority, the maintenance department. So he was like the head, one of the heads of that. So he was in and out, of the house daily. But I didn't have that live-in, strong male influence that catered directly to me. Now, my grandfather had many faults that he had, Paul Bryson. He, at the very least, was at least a provider. He provided for us, even though I grew up in a single-parent home, my mom and my 3 sisters. He was still in and out, in his old school male type of way. 911 on the clock timer, 911, 911, emergency department, EMT, something like that, or 911 is significant, Twin Towers, okay? So, yeah, I had the dynamic, I wasn't really very popular. I had a lot of female friends. I had a couple of girlfriends, but when in high school, I started to hit my stride because my cousin, my maternal grandmother's sister's daughter went to CVS, Chicago Vocational High School. It was a college preparatory high school, which means my freshman class alone was like over 1,000 kids. So it was a huge high school. It used to be on an old military base. So we had 3 wings to my high school. It was the main wing, 87th Street, then it was the Chappelle wing and the Anthony wing. And then, of course, the 3rd floor, which was like a wing, but it wasn't. It was on the 87th side, but it was like, the central part, the body of the bird, if you will. We even had we had 8 mini schools, and 8 mini schools like the House of Transportation, the House of School of Transportation House, so the LGBTQ. It's very significant here. Shout out to my fellow LGBTQers. Okay, so we had like 8 mini schools: School of Transportation, School of Hospitality, which was like nursing, horticulture, things like that, School of Performing Arts, and School of Business. I started out in School of Business, majoring in business finance, so I learned how to do, typing and all that shit, But I kind of segued into performing arts because I in high school, I went into JROTC, which I vastly moved up the ranks. I was the highest ranking individual in each class, and my rank superseded that which I was supposed to be in each class. So like, say, freshman class, the highest you were supposed to make was a corporal, okay, but I made staff sergeant in my freshman year. Okay, sophomore year, I made City Corps. I was master sergeant. I took a City Corps test, and me and my homegirl, LaDonna Jones at the time, and I'm being led to say names in this reading, so it is what it is, however the messages come out. But anyway, so, I aced the master sergeant. She aced it too, but I was the only one, I believe, that made the master sergeant, the actual corps. She only did up until a certain point, I believe, if I remember correctly. But I was like the master sergeant of Chicago City Public High Schools, okay, Chicago Vocational High School, CVS, okay. So there was a time, I was doing a lot. I was very active in high school. I did, because of my rank and what I was doing in JROTC, I was like the drill sergeant. So I competed in drill competitions, and I was the one calling commands. Forward march. I had a bunch of ribbons, a bunch of cords. I was on the rifle team, fancy rifle team, drill team, fancy drill. I did, I maintained that color guard attention, because it went from elementary. It started in elementary school, that type of militant type of attitude and energy, and it carried on into high school, because during the assemblies and stuff. Now, remember, my freshman class was like over 1,000. Okay, so that my freshman class, we still had sophomore, junior, senior classes. So just imagine how huge this school was. Okay, so I went in, I was still doing JROTC. I majored in business and finance, but I had segued by, because of my natural creativity, because of my paternal side of the family, father, brother being, a saxophone player, playing for Dottie Peoples for 9 years in Atlanta, things like that. So all of that shit was coming into play in high school. 2 birds are significant. I'm not sure what type of birds they possibly could be. Crows, ravens, okay. So because of my musical influence, I was kind of seduced by the School of Performing Arts. So I was still doing business, but during my music period, instead of my regular music class, I would go to performing arts. So I was doing like business, finance, performing arts, which was vocal. We were very good, vocal and band. We were very good, very talented. Still to this day, some of the most talented people I've ever known and come across in Chicago, CVS. I went to school with, but I didn't go to school with him, but Bernie Mac went to CVS. Kel Mitchell went to CVS. We actually, we ran in the same circles. He was there. He performed a lot. He rapped a lot in the school assembly. So, there's a point to this story here. I'm revisiting all of this so early in the morning. So yeah, business, finance, performing arts. I was still doing JROTC. So I would do a lot. I would be playing 3 roles in most of the assemblies there. I would, post the colors, call the audience, the ceremonies to attention publicly. I was, front and center. And then most of the assemblies, vocal and band, perform. So I would perform vocally, singing in a choir or a quartet or an ensemble or something like that. And then I would perform in band because I was also a drum major. Hey man, up to hut. Parade rest 1, 2, hey man, up to up CVS. Tweet, ready, 2, 3, I was at the front of the band singing at the head of JROTC, so I was doing a lot in high school. And plus my cousin, Jatana, she was an upperclassman, so when I came in as a freshman, I would sit at, her lunch table. We had the same lunch. So I automatically, most of my friends were upperclassmen. I was associated with sophomores, but mainly juniors and seniors. And I was a freshman, so, that plummeted my stock at high school. I went from like the faggot, the sweet booty boy in elementary school because it was right in my neighborhood where I grew up. Mainly the majority was Hispanic, but the projects, the way the whole project and neighborhood was set up, it was like one side was the projects, the other side was the houses where most of the Latinos, some black families lived in there, but in the projects it was majority black people, some Latinos, a few white. That was the demographic there. But high school, I became somewhat of the shit, you know what I'm saying, like out of nowhere. But I said all of that to say 1999 was the year of my graduating high school class. Now, just because of everything that I was involved in, and it wasn't because I was lacking the intelligence, it was because my energy and attention was spread so thin. I went from a nobody to somebody almost instantaneously. My school sent me in my freshman year to New York with the student advisory council. Out of nowhere, out of over 1,000 kids, they picked me. So I went to New York free, with the upperclassmen. I was the only freshman, and I went with multiple sophomore, junior, seniors, and we had a ball, and then the sophomore year we went to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I was the only sophomore there representing my sophomore class, so it was it was a lot, and but it was such an exhilarating time for me because it was just I could do all of these things and I made it work, but my schoolwork did somewhat suffer because I was so enthralled in the activities and doing and being in so many places and doing so many, my school, I just didn't do it. I could have did it, but I was just fuck that. By the time I got home, I got to do fuck the homework, I had personality, you know what I'm saying? And so by the time it came for me to graduate, I was a 1.5 points shy of a credit. Now they offered night classes to where I could make up the credits overnight. I did contracts to make up what I could. So it came down to a half a credit. And it was either, go to night school or I had a job. Okay, and my mama, she refused to let me quit my job. I was a bagging boy at this little grocery store off Stony Island. I think is it still up? I wonder. I haven't been away in a long time, but so the option came for either me to do the night class or work. She refused to pay for a night class. Everything else I took care of my own. I did my contracts or whatever. But yeah, I needed that night class in order to walk with my class. She refused. Okay, and there was no way that I could work and go to school, what I'm saying? So that was that, and she held that because she didn't graduate from high school. She had to get her GED as well as I did have to get my GED, but that was something so major for me because I could have walked with my class, but I took accountability for what I did, but my mom, she just wouldn't budge, and I felt like she wanted me to be like her, not graduate, but I had all these things about me that was okay, had all these things going for myself, so it was a shock, he didn't graduate, he didn't walk with the class, that dude, he was involved in everything, exceedingly, and my grades, my marks was okay. I always excelled in music and shit like that. My marks was okay, and I did good in English. The math and shit, it was okay, C's, and, but I was never a failure, I just didn't buy into the system. I was always a rebel. Okay, so 99 was always significant to me. It was the year that I did not walk with my graduating class, although years later, I ended up getting my GED. I was able to get bomb ass jobs without a GED, because I am naturally very intelligent. So that's very significant. I said all of that to say there's something about 2034. Okay, I said all of that to say, to give an explanation as to why 1999 is very significant to me. That's also the year that I became LGBTQ. So there's a lot going on. That summer of 1999, Destiny's Child, Say My Name came out. That's when the New Girls came in. That video, it was just like iconic. It was an iconic, legendary year for myself, But I woke up this morning, and so I'm going to say some names. Joanne Mercer, Rekia Barnes. Okay, Samantha's, a few Samanthas. Sam's. Male and female Sam, Samantha, okay? Sam. Okay, those names are significant. Now, for what reasons? I'm not going to say that I don't know, because Spirit done hit me with some things this morning, which is why why I'm doing all the talk about this at length. Okay, so 1999, okay? Kelly, okay, I believe that's her name, Kelly. Okay, Mercer, just so many names, Brandy's, okay, wow, just Michael's, Terrell's, Darren's, Millsaps, Darren, he was like the drum major to me. When I became a drum major, I wanted to pattern myself after him. I wanted to be the type of drum major that he was. Okay, he was like a drum major hero to me. Shout out to SFC Weber, Sergeant First Class Weber, James Weber. I wonder how he's doing. Sergeant Pettigrew. Okay, Sergeant Pettigrew. Okay. He wasn't a master sergeant. He was something sergeant. First Sergeant Pettigrew. Was he a first sergeant? I can't remember. Sergeant Cole, SFC Cole. Okay, SSG Cole. There's a couple of, and the one and only Miss Ernestine Fleming. Okay. Doc, okay, wow, Dr. Taylor, Mr. Taylor, Doc, I can't remember his name right now, but Doc, he was the one that made me a drum major. Oh, wow, he used to beat my ass with that paddle, too, with the drums. Ooh, my God, man, camp was, grueling, but I loved it. Okay, but anyway, yeah, so those names. So people being obsessed with you, knowing you since high school, things like that, knowing you for most, if not all of your life. These energies are significant. Rendra, Dashe, Latoya, Yinka Francois, Samaj, James, Samaj is James spelled backwards. Okay, James and Samajas and Samajes. SEMAJSEYMHA. Keys. Just all these names that are flooding to me right now. Richard. Deanna. Anthony's. Tony's. Just all of these names that are just like really just flowing to me right now. Some of them I can't mention. I'm just naive, lame. Just so many people I love. All these people's names that I'm calling out, I've loved. Had special places in my heart. Some still do. Okay. Brotherhood, sisterhood, Alpha and Omega Beta, Gamma Phi, fraternities, sororities are significant here. Band and performing arts, that school we was set apart. We was known as the rebels, the wild children. A lot of shit went down on the 3rd floor, okay? And a lot of people, when I finally made the main transition, because I was doing both business and finance and performing arts at the same time, but I finally transitioned fully to performing arts. I left business, I left that major. And some people who knew me like early on, because I was a bit of a Bible thumper in the beginning, freshman and sophomore year, but by the end of sophomore year, it was a wrap. I became myself. I started becoming like who I am. Yeah, that was that religious part of me, but I'm spiritual now. That religious, that came later. But, some people in business and finance felt betrayed, and some people in ROTC as well felt betrayed that, I became who I was in performing arts. I became free. I started to let go of who people expected me to be and who I wanted to be. I got my first taste of that in high school, leading on into LGBT, and then I went into these constraints all over again, But anyway, that 99 is very significant to me, in those names that I mentioned. So, I hope I didn't bore you all with this 26 on the clock timer. So 1988 is significant. Lionsgate, August 8th. Then there's 88, 16, and 7, how we relate to 7th house energy, which is how we relate to and choose relationships and partnerships, okay? Libra and Venus, collaboration, energy, 7th house, okay? So yeah, that energy is definitely significant here. So I want to get a few initial channel messages, because I want to pull on these names and energies here that I've been talking about. Chamber, tomb, government. Okay, so somebody could have wondered what you did or something like that. Yeah, kids, children here is coming up, and I just split the deck. I didn't really shuffle yet. Kids and children here are significant. Back when you were kids and children, somebody could have wanted you dead or tried to kill you or something like that. I don't know. Look here, I'm just splitting the decks. I haven't touched these cards prior to this reading. Chicago is significant. So is your self-care. A petition is here. Petitia. Okay. I heard her name is Jade now. I'm naming names, but this is a story about myself, so I get to tell my story. And if the names are involved, I get to mention names, because this is stuff that happened to me. Yeah, begging and pleading, petition. Somebody's begging and pleading here. And for years I've been getting messages, and I could have thought, things had to do with one person or another. Some of the names I mentioned, priest or priestess, you're a high priest or priestess. See, somebody's not operating in unconditional love. It's in the reverse here. Self-care. Somebody didn't love our unconditional love and self-care that we have for ourselves. Maintaining our standards, what we wanted to do with our life. Of course, it's my life. Of course, I'm gonna do things my way. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, that type of energy, those type of vibes. Okay. Hindering here. They're pulling on your energy because they ain't too proud to beg is in the reverse. So somebody's not pulling on your energy, or they're not able to pull on your energy. Empire in the reverse. Yeah, it looks like an empire is crashing. Something about bodyguards and goosebumps. That book could be significant. There was a book, a series, a novel called Goosebumps that was prevalent actually during that time. So Goosebumps, they turned it to a show on Nick at Night as well, so Nickelodeon. So Goosebumps could be significant. Sorry about that. I had to go check for my hot chocolate to see if they had coffee out. Okay, and something about Renaissance here. Okay. So pulling on this type of energy, I'm the type of reader that resonates with the readings that I give. I don't want to pull on energies that I haven't dealt with myself and know nothing about, okay? So all of these readings are based on my experience, okay, and resonates to my social life. That's how I reach out. So I want to pull on this energy, though. I want to know what these messages are, not only for myself, but for The soul tribe. Okay, Holy Spirit, what's going on here? I want to pull from my heart deck, cartomancy here. But before I do that, let's get some numbers out. 551. 551. 5 and 5 is 10. Completion. Completed in cycle. Professional path. Public persona. Social standing. 10th house energy. 5 individually is upcoming changes for your highest good and expansion. 5th house energy beyond the sun. Romance, fun and play. Exposing what's done in the dark. Creativity, success. Okay, and then 1 individually, Aries and Mars energy. So Leo, Capricorn, and Aries here. LCA, those initials could be significant. Self-unconditional love. Self-requirement. Awareness. You can't be aware of others without first being aware of yourself. So 551. Okay, spirit number 551. Spirit number 551. Spirit number 551. So spirit number 5, angel number 551 is interpreted as an angel number that signifies significant positive changes and new beginnings in your life. Angel number, spirit number 551 is a sign that wonderful new opportunities and fresh starts are entering your life that will bring positive changes in every way. Your angels ask that you maintain a positive mind set about these changes and trust that they are for your highest good and will enhance and enrich your life. Remember that your thoughts, words, and actions have an influence on the results and outcomes of all that takes place in your life. So maintain a positive attitude and use positive affirmations to ensure all changes taking place and the new entering your life will be most auspicious and life improving for you. Give any fears or worries to the angels for healing and transmutation and trust that all is going according to divine plan. The overall number of energy here is 11. Master intuit, someone who has mastered and continues to master their intuition. Okay, this is also about teams, groups, and colleagues. Yeah, 8 of Swords jumped out in the upright. So a team of people is hiding evidence. They're trying to hide evidence. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius energy. I saw this message. I was tagged in a message. And this is why I woke up this morning. I was tagged in a message by Jawan Mercer. Bro, okay? From high school. We went to high school. He was in ROTC as well. And he said something about 2 of the main characters are Gemini. And Leo and Gemini. And he said, you know, when you walk in a room, you can tell that someone is a Leo. They were saying something about Gemini in their words, okay? Something about the way Gemini uses their words. Now, for me, I've been in a relationship with a Gemini. But Geminis, I sort of, they're like kind of the antithesis to me. Like, you know, and that's not to say that all Geminis, but, you know, I never knew that Jawan was a Gemini, though. Yeah, something about here, yeah, they're trying to, 810 is significant, the number 810. Okay, it's giving me, like, area code. But hiding evidence regarding prosperity and abundance, 10 of Pentacles in the upright, this is our prosperity and abundance. So, yeah, somebody's hiding something about prosperity and abundance here. Area code 810. Area code 810. One moment. So sorry about that, Fem Masculine. So area code 810 covers the east central part of Michigan, which is right outside Chicago, where I grew up, including Flint, Lapeer, Port Huron, and Southern Thumb region. It was created in 1993 after splitting from area code 313 and has since been further divided by 248, 586, 989, 810. It's close to major highways like I-69 and I-75. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. What else, Holy Spirit? Okay, 5. Somebody's losing money here. 5 of Pentacles in a reverse. Yeah. here. Somebody's losing money and they're trying to hide evidence of this. Somebody's trying to do some flim-flam shit with your money. Yeah, Empress energy. You're doing this to an Empress, divine feminine energy, male or female. I'm just letting this. I told the story and I mentioned the names here. So I'm letting the cards tell the rest. Six of Pentacles in the reverse. Yeah, this is all under the vertical line of Eight of Swords in an upright introspection. Somebody's looking at themselves, looking at some sort of dirty work that they did. Okay, because they're trying to hide some sort of evidence here. In this same vertical line, Five of Pentacles in the reverse. They're losing money. Six of Pentacles in the reverse. Nature. They're naturally losing money. Persona here. Introspection, nature, and persona. This is who these people are. Sneaky individuals. Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus energy. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Okay, Eight of Wands in the reverse. 88 is significant here. Eight of Wands in the reverse. Standing on business. Real self-realization. Okay, so in this vertical line here, obviously we have a low vibrational side, and I'm taking this as the high vibrational side. We have the Ten of Pentacles, separation as the keyword here in the upright, prosperity and abundance, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. Empress here, Ace of Wands in the reverse. So fire sign energy, sentiment, feeling this Empress energy, divine feminine, male or female. You know my default energy is divine feminine. I'm balanced though. It's standing on business with Eight of Wands. So an Empress had to stand on business regarding his or her prosperity and abundance from people who is hiding evidence that's in some sort of financial woes. Okay, these cards are telling a story here. Yeah, feminine energy here. Yeah, transcendence energy here. Ten of Wands, Biro, international energy. It's all to this feminine energy here now. Listen to what I'm saying, male or female. We're talking about the divine feminine energy, which could be a man or a woman. It's part of the universal laws. Learn your universal laws. At the bottom of the deck, Three of Wands in the upright. That's spiritual warfare or a physical attack. Holy Spirit. Now, I know what I was getting when I woke up to these names and to these messages now, Holy Spirit. It seems to be, well, I'm not about to, I'm just going to let the cards continue to talk and say what needs to be said. Because what I was getting looks to be confirmed by these cards. Yeah, door to romance here. There's a door to romance here. 33. Ascended master energy, master teacher, teaching master lessons. Door to romance. This heart is in a cage with lock and key here to it. So you're waiting for the key to this door to romance or something like that, or if you're the key, is there's a heart waiting for you? Yeah, it's been a journey. 332 could be significant to union, companionship, partnership energy. So we got Flint, Michigan here. I want to see what 332 is. Manhattan Borough of New York City, New York. Manhattan, 332. So Manhattan is significant along with Flint, Michigan. Detroit, Michigan could also be significant. It's right next door to Chicago. Woman holding a coin in the reverse. Yeah, so look here now. What's this hiding? Yeah, okay now. The feminine energy, a female or a man of feminine energy is losing a coin. Somebody was trying to receive something that they shouldn't have been trying to receive. 19, rest and rejuvenation, breaks down to a 10, completion. Professional path, public persona, your social standing. Blossoming abundance, 10, 3, 13, something about an ending. 3, finding and maintaining clarity regarding blossoming abundance in the upright. Yo, listen to what I'm saying. There's something, okay. Okay, Holy Spirit. 3, finding and maintaining clarity. Yeah, 11, teams, groups, and colleagues. Cornucopia. Wish fulfillment, in other words, peaceful, harmonious environments. The thinking woman. Yeah, somebody's regretting what they did. Confirmation, I heard a horn beep. I don't know if that put a woman holding a heart in the reverse. So somebody's heartless. Okay, Holy Spirit. It looks like what? Okay, now. Yeah, Atlantis. Keep the big vision. Stay in alignment as you grow. Water Oracle. Okay, Lady of the Lake, new beginning. Something is about to happen here. Okay, something is about to happen. Okay? So, that's all I'm gonna say. Baby steps, action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense, and that's what I'm doing. Yeah, you're not alone. Isolation, physical connection, community. Okay, Holy Spirit. Now, forge, don't follow. Pave a new path. Be the leader you wish you had. I remember. These messages are for my Starseeds. Soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. Okay, Starseed Oracle. So, okay, Holy Spirit, I see what you're saying here. Five of Pentacles in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. Improvement financially. We're in tarot now. Okay, I started out with Cartomancy, Oracle, Water Healing Oracle, Starseed Oracle. Okay, okay. Now we're in tarot, the wide and narrow. What's this focus energy, Holy Spirit? What's out in the open? Yeah, Two of Swords in the upright, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, making a difficult decision. You could have called justice in the situation. But this is out in the open now. What's being seen? Okay. A tough decision regarding a journey or something like that. Yeah, Four of Cups in the reverse. I cannot make this shit up. A sudden awareness. When I say when I woke up this morning and I saw those names and certain things, some of the names that I mentioned now, listen to what I'm saying. Yeah, Nine of Swords in an upright, Two of Swords in an upright, making a difficult decision. Four Swords, Four Cups in the reverse, that's a sudden awareness, suddenly becoming aware of something that possibly, okay, now, Nine of Swords, panic attack, anxiety. I'm not Sun in the upright, Nine of Swords, Libra, Aquarius, Gemini, Sun, Leo, exposing something, revelation, success. Yeah. Okay, now here, communication, creativity. Okay, listen to what I'm saying here. What I'm translating from these cards here. King of Swords, mind over heart. Ogun energy, warrior energy, divine masculine. Man or female in masculine energy, somebody getting ready to take action, defending their territory. After this sun, after this revelation about this, okay, now. Yeah, Knight of Wands in the reverse. Yeah, somebody's angry because what? The truth is out now? What? Ciao. Yeah. Nine of Wands in the reverse. Yeah, so somebody was used as a pawn or trying to use us as a pawn. Six of Wands at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, somebody's going by you. Because I don't want no mistakes with this reading and the messages and with the energies that I picked up on. I'm just using this reading for confirmation. If this is the same for anybody who resonates with these energies. Ace of Cups in the reverse. This is the issue line here, so, and we're in a whole new deck now, okay? Totally different deck. So, this is the issue here. Somebody's losing everything. If they had spiritual gifts, they tarnish them, use them for the wrong reason. Like, backfires. It's like type of energy, type of vibes. You know what I'm saying? Like, ooh, wow. Okay, bitch. Queen of Cups in the reverse, somebody smothering, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Ace of Cups to the Queen of Cups, both in the reverse. Okay. See, this is the issue line, the obstinate line, if you will. Obstinate. It's like an issue, you know. But I want to get the textbook definition of obstinate, okay? So I can be clear. on the definition. Stubbornly refusing to change one's opinion or chosen course of action despite attempts to persuade one to do so. This is very obstinate energy. Smothering someone all up in your business. They want to know who, what, when, where, why, and how in regard to you. It's Queen of Cups. So yeah, you became suddenly aware of a Queen of Cups in the reverse. Wow, male or female. Nine of Swords in the reverse. Oh wow, it is coming out. Wow. This person, this is 99 is very significant because we have the Nine of Swords in the upright into my focus line. And Nine of Swords in the reverse right under the Nine of Swords in the upright. It's now in the reverse. So this person is panicking and anxiety, panicking all over the place. They want to reach out for our help, to us for help because they're in despair. 99, what did I start out saying? Look, Nine of Pentacles in the reverse on 999. Okay, Holy Spirit, 999. L, somebody's name, L is significant. Larry, Lance, something, I don't know. Nine of Pentacles in the reverse, they were codependent. Yeah, Ace of Wands in the reverse. This is the issue line. All of these cards are in the reverse. Ace of Wands, fatigue, exhaustion. They can't create. Wow. Queen of Wands in the upright, the first Queen of Wands. So somebody angry at a Queen of Wands in the upright, somebody very bold, courageous, attractive, sexual, kind of witchy. Supernatural things happen around us naturally. Sunflowers are significant. They pissed off at a Queen of Wands. Yeah, Seven of Cups in the reverse, they're delusional. Wow, Two of Wands in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. It was a bad idea, bad planning. So manifested outcome, okay? Yet a whole nother tarot deck. We're still in tarot. But like, I don't want no mistakes in this message here. Okay, because I want this. Yeah, Two of Wands was at the bottom of the deck, right? This just jumped out. Two of Wands manifested outcome. Two of Wands in the reverse. 22. Two of Wands. Wow. Bad idea, bad planning. Whatever the fuck y'all was doing, the people that I named. Okay, because this is irrefutable. Okay, yeah. Whatever y'all was doing behind the scenes, Joanne, Rakia, whoever the fuck else I named, that this applies to, bitch, hermit, isolation, introverted, energy, yeah. We went rogue from them. If that's how they see it, death in the reverse. Okay, so somebody in this group finna die. Sorry, not sorry. Because what I thought, and I suspected one of them after a few years ago. Last time I was in Chicago and I did a reading, yeah. Begging and pleading, Eight of Cups in the reverse. Yeah. But now, bitch, yeah, okay, ho. Yeah, Five of Swords in the reverse, lingering resentment, desire to reconcile. They want our forgiveness, but they not sorry. Okay, hoes. Yeah, Ten of Cups, upright, happy family, and peace that passes all understanding, manifested outcome. Okay, Holy Spirit. I get the message loud and clear. Yeah, Two of Cups in the reverse, a breakup, justice here. An upright Libra energy. Ten of Wands in the reverse at the bottom of the deck. So somebody's about to find themselves heavily burdened. If they're not already burdened, heavily burdened, yeah. Okay. And one of them asked me to do a reading about a situation. It had something to do with somebody's death. Kelly, K-E-L-I. Kelly Mitchell. Yeah, okay. All right. I don't like when people be up in my energy without my permission. Work in the reverse. It wouldn't work. Protect in the reverse. Then you gotta protect. Fear in the reverse when you're scared of y'all. Energy in the reverse. Energy drainers. Yeah. Rebirth. Care. In the upright. Rebirth and care in the upright. All the other cards are in the reverse. Intention in the upright. It fell out in the reverse and picked it up on the upright. Yeah. This is a lot here. Reveal in the reverse. Hunt in the reverse. They don't want it to be revealed that they can't hunt us anymore. people in this light energy, you know, take it for how it resonates for you. Yeah, joy in the reverse. This could be somebody's name, somebody's cousin. Joy in the reverse. Yeah, memory, freedom. Remember, you're free. Yeah, okay. Remember your freedom. Yeah, consume. Yeah, take all of this in. It was for you. It's accurate. I'm gonna drop the mic on that. Click like, share, subscribe, donate to the channel. Until next time, book your session. Peace. Bye. And to you motherfuckers. Okay, yeah, bye.